And a very pleasant good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of Tornado Talk, where we talk all things Brevard College athletics. We're here every Monday night on Facebook Live as well as YouTube Live. You can even find us on the BC Tornadoes Twitter feed live on Monday evenings. And glad you're able to join us again this evening. We're going to be talking a lot of hoops later in the show, so really happy you're able to join us for this edition of Tornado Talk. But before we get started, do want to take a moment to thank our sponsors here at Brevard College Athletics: Arby's, Brevard Orthopedics, BSN Sports, Cooper Construction, eGolf Ford of Brevard, Hampton Inn, Ingles, Jets Pizza, Pepsi, Triangle Stop, and Young Transportation. Thank you very much to our sponsors of Brevard College Athletics. Well, I do want to catch you up since we saw you last. A lot going on in the world of BC athletics. The football team made its trip to Alabama for its season opener at Huntington, a tough 26-18 loss at Huntington. This game became close late, but the Tornadoes unable to get the victory. Dante Anderson, the senior defensive back, led all players with an 11-tackle performance. Jacques Pledger also with an 8-tackle performance on the offensive end. The running back core, Damon Rouse with a touchdown, DJ Taylor, 44 yards, Mitchell Yoder with 45 yards, and a season-opening game. It's in the books, but unfortunately 26-18, Huntington defeats Brevard. Next up for the football team, Saturday, March 6th, the first ever game on campus at the Ives Lamel Family Field on Saturday, March the 6th. Brevard College women's soccer, big win over the weekend. Sunday afternoon, a 3-1 victory over Berea. Berea took a 1-0 lead in this one, and then the Tornadoes stormed back with 3 consecutive goals. Freshman Taylor Richardson with 2 goals, Emma White with a goal, Abby Petrosky with an assist. Next up for the Tornadoes women's soccer team at Agnes Scott this Saturday in Decatur, Georgia. The men's soccer team, a 3-1 loss at Covenant. That game was played in Chattanooga. The lone goal for the Tornadoes, Ryan Lynch. Tornadoes had to play a man down for about 80 minutes of this one, but unable to defeat Covenant in this conference matchup. Next up for the men's soccer team, a trip to Maryville, Tennessee, where they'll take on the Maryville College Scots on Saturday evening. The baseball team got started this weekend as well. A doubleheader versus Maryville. Maryville took game 1 9-5, and game 2 8-1. The baseball team will head to Danville, Virginia this weekend, a 3-game series at Averett University. The softball team got going, a trip to Pfeiffer, where it played its long-awaited season debut, and Michaela McCoy with a big game, especially in game 1, as did Emily White with some offensive production. However, Pfeiffer takes both games of that doubleheader. Brevard goes to Emory, Virginia this weekend, a non-conference neutral site game against Dubuque University at 11 a.m., and then they'll play the host Emory and Henry at 1 p.m. Men's basketball, we'll be talking about that later in the program. The Tornadoes hosted Huntington on Friday night. Huntington took that one 70-56. Ladji Samoura led the way for the Tornadoes with 14 points. Unfortunately, the Saturday matchup for these two was canceled due to COVID-19 protocols. The Tornadoes will be back in action tomorrow on Tuesday, home against Covenant. That'll be right here on YouTube if you want to tune in. And then Saturday at Berea and Sunday at Berea in the season finale weekend for the men's basketball team. We'll be talking to head coach Lee Burgess and a couple of the basketball student athletes later in the show. Now, that brings us to what we're going to get started with this evening. And before we bring in our guests, just want to recap real briefly what happened in Macon, Georgia over the weekend. Game 1 on Friday night, a 59-56 victory for the Tornadoes over Wesleyan College. Destiny Williams with 19 points to lead the charge. Deja Riddick and Kaitlyn Light each with 7 points. Deja Riddick with 8 rebounds, also dished out 4 assists. And this one was tight late, but the Tornadoes able to pull it out. And then in game 2 on Saturday, the Tornadoes with a 69-60 victory, Destiny Williams matching her career high with 21 points and 10 boards. She was able to come up with her 8th double-double in a Tornado uniform. Also, big day from beyond the arc for Shakira Thompson. And that brings us to our first guest of the evening, women's basketball assistant coach Taylor Spangler. It's great to have Coach Spangler on the show. Thanks for joining the show, Coach Spangler.
Thanks for having me, Phil.
Well, let's get started kind of breaking down a little further those 2 games at Wesleyan. And I know this is it's such an unusual season, and there's only so many games you all have under your belt, but these were 2 big ones, as far as a conference foe on the road, and the team had to be focused to get the victory. Let's start with game 1, that Friday night game. This one was close late, but the Tornadoes able to pull out the 59-56. For those who weren't able to catch it, could you kind of break it down a little bit and recap it for us yourself?
I can try. As a coach, and Coach Hud and I talk about this all the time, we want to see our girls progressing each game. And our goals for this past weekend, for our assist-to-turnover ratio to be the best it has been this season. And we were finally able to accomplish that during both games. So for the first game, getting off the bus, been on the bus for about 4 hours, going into a game, and we're asking these girls to do a lot. We go from, being in quarantine to playing 3 games a week. So it's asking a lot of them and asking a lot of their bodies. But for that first game, sloppy is my best word to use for it. If you look at our stat line, we were 6 for 22 from 3, I believe. And that's struggling if you're not hitting all those threes, obviously. And then, some careless turnovers that happen, and just reminding our girls to just settle into everything. We get going pretty fast sometimes, and it's hard to slow everybody down. We are super young. We've got 2 freshmen starting and other freshmen that play heavy minutes for us right now. And we're, like you said, this season has been so crazy, and we're still trying to figure each other out, still trying to figure out the game as a new team. But in the end, we were able to seal the deal. And they tried to stop us with their zone pressure because we weren't shooting it well, but we were able to pull that first game out, thankfully.
Yeah, at one point it was 57-55. A clutch layup by Destiny Williams with 14 seconds left kind of sealed the deal. And then Saturday, you had to bounce back quickly. That game time actually shifted, and it became a noon start, correct? And so, quick turnaround time for the team, and you got to regroup and get right back after it. But a 69-60 victory and a big day from Destiny Williams, the senior.
Absolutely, yeah. Des has had an incredible season. She missed the first 2 games, I think, at Covenant. I think that's all she missed due to COVID protocol, her return to play. But she's having an amazing senior season, and her teammates are helping her along the way, getting her the ball down low, getting her on cuts, which is one of her favorite things to do. I'm sure if anybody watches our games, you hear Destiny yelling, "Here," or "Ball," or "Give it to me," something on a cut that she's making. So her teammates are trying to get her the ball on those cuts, and they miss it sometimes. And, sometimes, things just don't go the way you think they're going to go when Destiny cuts. But, she's having an incredible season. And like I was saying, with the first game, we were 6 for 22 from 3. With the second game, we were 10 for 21, I believe, from 3. So when the ball's falling, our bench energy is different. People on the floor are different. Defense looks different. And it was enjoyable, kind of tense at times, but enjoyable to pull out that win.
Well, ultra efficient in that first half from beyond the arc, 7 of 10 with 3-pointers in that first half. And Shakira Thompson, the senior, 12 points, off 12 points, which is usually kind of how it works with her on 3-point shots. It means a lot when she can get that shot going, right, Coach?
Oh, absolutely. I think she was 3 for 4 at half from 3. And when she's hitting, it's fun. It's easy. The girls can just you don't have to rebound. Just turn around and run back down the floor. It's simple. And she has struggled this year, and she knows that. But we've also seen her in the gym, trying to finish out her senior year strong. And you can see that now. She hasn't shot the ball her best, but she has games like she did where she was 3 for 4 at halftime. It's a huge deal for us.
Well, we talked about the unusual nature of the season, as it's always great to see head coach Donald Hudson chiming in on the Facebook Live chat function. Good to see you, Coach. But no rest for the weary, right? Like, we're right back at it tomorrow. Another road trip, this time to Decatur, Georgia, to take on Agnes Scott. This game was rescheduled. It was supposed to happen way back on January 9th, in case you're keeping score of such things. But meanwhile, a trip to Agnes Scott, another road trip, and another opportunity for the Tornadoes to, earn another win here. Can you kind of talk about that? Where you guys are at with the preparation for that game? Wherever you want to sort of take us, logistically, what will the plan be tomorrow?
Take care of business like every day. Do the things we know we're supposed to do. We try to tell the girls not to. This season's different where we're having to play them at such a weird time. But we can't think about the win we already have against them. It's still later in the season. People have more experience under their belt now. But today during practice, we focused on ourselves, focused on things that we saw on film that needed to be fixed to not only help us for tomorrow, but for this weekend and future games next season. So today was mainly focusing on us, working against zone defense, which we've seen a lot of this year. It's kind of becoming the new thing in women's basketball is to play zone defense instead of man. And we've played our fair share this year. We look decent in it. So yeah, this practice this morning, we focused on ourselves, got shots up, got some competitive drills in, and worked against zone and pressure, just to be as prepared as we can be going into this game tomorrow, with trying to not run the girls in the ground after we just played 2 games back to back.
Then you get back from the road, and the season finale pair of games, the way this USA South Conference schedule is working, Friday night versus Huntington, and then Saturday, the season finale versus Huntington. Friday night is also going to represent senior night, and we encourage viewers to tune in early for that one. 6:45 p.m. will go on the air on YouTube for the broadcast, and we'll also have a ceremony for the 5 seniors: Shakira Thompson, Destiny Williams, Deja Riddick, Victoria Green, and Bailey Ray. Also student manager Mia Mills. So a group of 6 seniors who are a big part of this Tornado team. Can you tell us, just how special this senior class has been?
Man, like my kids. I feel like we said that every year though, but I don't know if people remember Whitney DeMoss. She was number 32 for us, played a couple years ago. She and I were texting the other day because Destiny pulled out Whit's old hairstyle, 2 big puffy ponytails. We were texting, and, we were just talking about how we can't believe it, how it's already time, for them to go out into the world and be productive and positive and affect, the adult world, as we all call it. They've been so incredible. I've laughed with them. I've cried with them. I've fussed at them. I've learned so much from this group of kids. They've all been awesome. And Mia, I know people, they think managers don't do a lot. She is going to be extremely incredibly hard to replace. She's so awesome for us, does anything you ask of her. She literally is just like another player. She's not a manager to us. And they're all just going to be so missed. I mean, we start 3 of them with even the ones that come off the bench still producing heavy minutes and have a positive impact on the game. So it's big shoes to fill. So yeah, they're definitely going to be missed.
No doubt. So once again, folks, tune in at 6:45 p.m. this Friday night and help us celebrate that senior class. Really, really a special group. Great to see message here from Lisa Light. Proud of them all. No doubt about it. Well, Coach, before we let you go, regular viewers of Tornado Talk probably catch the head man, head coach Donald Hudson on here more often than not. But not all of them may know your background, and you've got a compelling story as far as student athlete turned into coach and so forth, and certainly deep roots here at Brevard College. Can you kind of tell us that journey both as a student athlete and now as a coach, and sort of your progression in your career?
Absolutely. It's actually funny. I was talking with a recruit today because a lot of the kids don't go and read bios, so they have no idea that Coach Hudson and myself were actually students of Brevard. So when they hear that, they're like, "What? Like y'all went here and you're still here?" So yeah, Hud and I bleed blue. We say it all the time to anybody. Got to Brevard in 2011. My 4 years there were tough. I was a biology major, but my professors were absolutely incredible. Worked with me through all of it. Being that kind of major and being a student athlete isn't easy. And then after that, I graduated in 2015, took a year off, but I was still living in the area. I was working at a vet clinic because my goal at the time was to go to vet school. But then Coach Hudson got the job and gave me a call on a rainy Monday, and it didn't even cross my mind to say no. Basketball's in my blood, literally. My dad coaches. My sister used to coach. She coached at Presbyterian. She's no longer coaching. But it's just been part of my life for so long. It just wasn't, I didn't have to give it a second thought. I was just like, I've got to take the opportunity that's being given to me. And I was young. I was 22. I'm super young to be an assistant coach. And through the years, I've grown so much. I've matured a lot. And Coach Hudson and his mentorship has helped me a lot. I reach out to my sister and my dad. My mom listens whenever I'm just like going nuts with something the girls did during a game. I'm like, it just doesn't even make sense because my mom played ball. So it runs in my blood. My family's super supportive. The girls, some of them call me Mama Tay. Deja Riddick loves to call me Ursula because she thinks I'm the devil because I make conditioning workouts. And just embracing everything that Brevard has offered me and taught me and helped me grow since 2011. I mean, it's 10 years ago. So,
as someone who spent so much time here at Brevard College and experienced it as a student athlete, and now living it as a coach, this is a question I throw out there all the time, but I'd love to hear it from you, Coach. Simply put, what makes Brevard College special?
I picked Brevard because it was a lot like where I'm from, Mount Airy, North Carolina. The family feeling. I wanted to feel like I meant something to people around me, that I wasn't just a number in a classroom or a number on a roster, that I meant something to the people there. And that's the exact feeling I get at Brevard. It's a family, no matter what program you're dealing with. I feel it from each individual sports program, and even just students around, they seem to generally enjoy being close knit to everybody around. It's not very often you get to talk to your president on a regular basis, just seeing them around campus, and you get that at Brevard. It's just very close knit, homey feel.
Well said. Well, Coach, hang on just a moment here, because we're going to try to bring in our student athlete guest and give you a chance to say hello to them on this virtual format. We're joined now by Calli Wells and Kaitlyn Light. Calli in the lower left corner and Kaitlyn Light in the upper left. Coach, before we let you go, can you tell our audience a little about these two?
Yeah. So if you've watched any of our games, you know that these two have played valuable minutes for us. Light's playing the point guard. Calli, is literally all over the floor, defense, offense. It don't matter. You probably see her driving the ball a lot, maybe shooting a three from time to time. But both of these kids have came in and made an impact on our program. With Tasha not coming back, Light has filled that role for us at the point guard position. And Calli, she has big shoes to fill when Shakira is gone. Massive shoes, actually. But Calli and Shakira work in the gym all the time on the new gun that we got over Christmas break. So these girls have been putting in their time to help our program get to the next level. They've both been huge assets to us this year. even if you go look at stats, it might not say, oh, they're scoring 15 a game, but they're doing so much more than that for us. They're moving the ball. They're getting the ball up the floor for us. They're doing what we ask of them.
Well said. Well, thank you, Coach Spangler. Good luck with the trip tomorrow to Agnes Scott, and we'll see you back here at the Bosch this weekend, beginning with that senior night celebration on Friday night. Thanks again for joining the program.
Perfect. Thanks, Phil.
All right, there she goes, assistant coach Spangler, and really excited to have these two making their Tornado Talk debut, Kaitlyn Light and Calli Wells. Kaitlyn, Calli, thanks for joining the show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, Kaitlyn, let's start with you. Freshman guard from Elizabethton, Tennessee, North Buncombe High School. Tell us so far, how it's been as a, freshman student athlete making your collegiate debut on the basketball court. How's the experience been so far?
It's actually a lot better than I ever thought it would be. I mean, I love it. It's like family here and everything. So it's a lot better than what I ever could imagine.
And Calli Wells, freshman guard from Fort Mill, South Carolina, Fort Mill High School. Same question for you. Enjoying life as a college student athlete, Calli?
Oh, definitely. It's been a dream ever since I was little, and it's just great to fulfill those dreams.
Very good. Well, we recapped quite a bit with Coach, but I'd like to hear from you two as well about the Wesleyan wins over the weekend. You had to play 2 games on the road in, really quick back-to-back fashion, Friday night and then Saturday at noon. Can you kind of tell our audience, what the keys were in terms of earning those 2 victories? Kaitlyn, could you get us started on the Wesleyan games?
Well, Coach has always told us that if you don't let them score, they can't win the game, and we'd have an offense on the other end. So as long as we played very good defense and didn't let them score, we could score on the other end, whether they turned it over and we had fast break layups or it came down and Kira shot that 3, anything like that.
Calli, how do you think you and also the team performed in Macon?
I think we did well. We focused a lot on ourselves in the week before in practice, and I think we did good. I think we could have executed some things a little better, but Wesleyan didn't show as much pressure as we used to from the previous teams. So that was a lot easier. We handled that well, and overall, a win is a win. So
yeah, no doubt about it. Nothing wrong with, and it feels good to get on the bus after 2 straight wins and be able to come home victorious. That's for sure. Well, we've been promoting it all show. This Friday night is going to be senior night, and we're going to do a virtual celebration with the seniors from the Brevard College women's basketball team. It's going to be a big part of the broadcast that night, so everybody can tune in. But this group is a special one. Shakira Thompson, Destiny Williams, Deja Riddick, Victoria Green, Bailey Ray, and also student manager Mia Mills. I would imagine as newcomers to the Tornadoes basketball team, it means a lot to have a strong senior class like that, provide leadership and guidance as you guys are getting started on your careers. I'd love to hear from each of you just how much this senior class has meant to you in your development. Kaitlyn?
They push us a lot in practice and games, and they always correct us on our wrongdoings or anything like that, and they always give us support, but they accepted us just like family. So, I mean, it's going to be really upsetting when they leave, even if we had a short season, because they're just family, just like anybody else.
Calli, an exceptional senior class, correct?
Oh, definitely, to say the least. As soon as we came in, like Kaitlyn said, they took us under their belt and treated us just like family, and they push us, and we learned a lot from them. They're a very valuable senior class and bring a lot of aspects of the team. And so it's a great senior class to learn from and put into things into the future.
Yep, the 5 seniors plus student manager Mia Mills. Tell us a little bit about Mia and kind of what she brings to the table for you guys.
She does so much for us, like so much more than you could ever imagine. And we don't really think of her as a manager at all. She's just like one of us. She's just like family as well. And she does all kinds of things in the locker room for us. And if we need help, she's always the first one there to help us or support us.
Calli, anything to add?
Yeah, she definitely does a lot more than what people would think just hearing the basketball manager. She's definitely more than that to us. She's basically another teammate, part of the team, part of the family, does anything and everything for us, cares for us on a different level, and it's definitely going to be hard to see her go.
No doubt, a valuable part of the whole equation that makes the Tornadoes women's basketball tick. Well, do want viewers to get to know you guys a little more. Each of you beyond just the stat sheet and what it says on the roster. I'd love to hear from each of you first, kind of your journey as a basketball player. Was it the first sport you ever played? When did you start playing it? And how did it eventually evolve into, you getting real serious about it to the point that you play in college? Kaitlyn, tell us about your journey as a basketball player.
I started playing basketball when I was about 4. And the reason I got into it was my dad one day took me to a gym. So my dad, I would have to say, I thank my dad for taking me to a gym when I was 4. I did play t-ball, I think, first. I did start playing t-ball first, yeah. And so basketball just became like a really big thing for me as the years went on. I did play softball a little bit, and then I quit for basketball. And that's when it became like a really big thing for me going on. And I had dreams since middle school to go play in college basketball. And from there, my dreams have come true. So.
Outstanding. Calli, how about yourself?
Like Kaitlyn said, I definitely started at a young age as well. I'm actually the youngest of 4, so all my siblings have been athletes, so it kind of just runs in our family. So as soon as I could be put into sports, my parents put me in, and basketball was one of the first sports I started playing. I was a 3-sport athlete in middle school. I played soccer, volleyball, and basketball, and I played volleyball and basketball in high school, and then what really, I think, brought it down to basketball is when I had to have shoulder surgery, so I couldn't really play volleyball, and then that's when I really started focusing on basketball, and it just went from there.
So each of you eventually focuses, on basketball, and it starts to get more and more serious, and then eventually you find Brevard College, or Brevard College finds you, one or the other. Love to hear how that kind of fell into place. Kaitlyn, tell us how you ended up at Brevard College.
So I played for an AAU team back in high school and all through middle school. And so Coach Hyatt had knew my coach. And so they had gotten together, and she had looked and stuff at me, I guess, because I was asking my coach, like, where can I go? What can I do? So I guess he got in contact with her. So I thank my coach for doing that and getting me here.
Very good. And Calli, how about yourself?
Honestly, Brevard definitely found me. I did not even know what Brevard was until I got recruited for basketball. But once Coach and I emailed back and forth and I came on my first visit, it definitely caught my eye from the first time I stepped on campus and went and watched a game. I could just feel the family atmosphere, and Coach Hyatt and Coach Hudson definitely were a big reason why I picked Brevard. They just showed a lot of more care, and not just on the roster. They show that they care about their players, and yeah, that's basically why I picked Brevard.
Very good. Last one for you two before we let you go and continue your preparation for that road trip tomorrow to Agnes Scott. Now that you're here and you've experienced Brevard College and Brevard College women's basketball, and perhaps there's a high school player back home, who's asking you, hey, what's it like up there? What would you tell them, Kaitlyn?
I would definitely tell them that you are so close to everyone around here in the community, more than you would ever have thought. And to play basketball here with a very close community and stuff is really great. And they're all sisters. We're all sisters together, and I couldn't have imagined being with anyone else or anybody else to play basketball with.
Calli?
Definitely what Kaitlyn said. Brevard's a lot different from where I'm from. Not a lot of mountains and just things like that. So it's pretty cool just to be somewhere different, not like home. And the team definitely helps. And it's just such a good feeling to have those like sisters around you and supporting you and there for you every day, each and every day, taking on the day. And just, it's a great feeling.
Well, we try to give all student athlete guests on Tornado Talk the opportunity for any thank yous or shout outs you may have, anybody who may have helped you along the way, who may or may not be watching this program. It's available on replay, so they might be able to catch it even after the fact. But love to hear from each of you as far as anyone you want to give a shout out to or say thank you to. Kaitlyn.
I want to definitely thank my mom, my dad for helping me here now. And then I want to thank one special person, Kevin Laws. He's the one that got me here. He's the one that's coached me since 7th grade, pushed me to my limits, cried, yelled, fought with each other and everything, just like, I mean, a parent and a child. And so I just want to thank Kevin for getting me here to this day. So
very good. Calli, shout outs for us?
Definitely my family, my biggest supporters, from my mom, my dad to all my sisters and my brother. And all my coaches from middle school to high school, they've all pushed me to become the best person and player that I could be. And I'm very thankful for that.
Very good. Well, Kaitlyn Light, Calli Wells, two members of that Brevard College women's basketball team. They'll be back in action tomorrow at Agnes Scott and then a weekend series here at the Bosch. Be sure to tune into YouTube this weekend and catch these two student athletes in the Tornadoes in action. Kaitlyn, Calli, great job on your Tornado Talk debut. Thanks for joining the show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and there they go. Great to see members of the women's basketball team. And we'll shift our focus now to men's basketball as the Tornadoes played this past weekend hosting Huntington College for a matchup on Friday night. And we're going to bring in our next guest, familiar face to Tornado Talk, head coach Lee Burgess. Coach Burgess, thanks for joining the show.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Well, for folks who might not have seen Friday night's affair versus Huntington on the stream, I do want to break that down a little bit and tell people what went down on Friday night. Ladji Samoura, who's going to be a guest later in the show, season high 14 points on 5 of 10 shooting. Carson Evans, the freshman point guard, a kind of a breakout performance in my estimation. Career best 14 points on 5 made field goals. Very active altogether. Hayden Cassell with 9 points. Quincy Carter with 8. Alex Wessig with 5 boards. Those are the individual numbers, Coach. But can you kind of tell us, what happened on Friday night?
Yeah, first of all, we were super thankful to get out there and play. It had been a while since we had been able to play. It has been a challenging year for our program, but we were thankful for the opportunity to get out there and play. We went into the game with somewhat limited numbers, but I thought our guys laid it out there pretty well, especially the first 20 minutes. I thought that first half we played pretty well. I think Huntington had maybe a 4-point lead at the half. And then in the second half, we didn't have the same type energy, same type attention to detail. Couple of reasons for that, I think. I think one of them is again, fatigue. Not only, this COVID thing hits a lot of programs a lot differently. And, you can look at it and say, well, I mean, you guys should have been well rested. You hadn't played for 2-3 weeks. And that's true. We haven't played for 2 or 3 weeks, but our guys have been sitting in their dorm rooms not doing a whole lot during the quarantine period. And so we get out of quarantine, we're able to practice for a few days. We're just not in the kind of conditioning and shape that we need to be in. And so we've also still got some of the guys that we're relying on that not cleared to play yet. We're having to ride a lot of guys for a lot of minutes that they're not ready to play. And so I think that can factor into our that certainly factors into fatigue for the second 20 minutes. But I was disappointed too in just our mental toughness. It's one thing to be physically broken, physically worn down, but we should be able to control our mental toughness a little better than what I thought we did. So that was the general message to the team in the locker room. I thought we took some decent steps forward from an X's and O standpoint as we, playing our 4th game of the year. Thought we did a lot of good things. You look from game 1 to game 4, and we're playing better. We don't have all the guys that we wish we had. Where we haven't progressed is just our mental attention to detail. So that's the challenge, and I think that goes in a couple different aspects. In the game, but in terms of our preparation for the game, we did not have a good practice the day before on Thursday before Huntington. And I told them that after the practice on Thursday, and then harped on it again on Friday. When we have such a youthful group, a young group like we do, sometimes a huge hurdle to get over is just how difficult it is to win a college basketball game. It wasn't that hard for them in high school, to win a game. The attention to detail wasn't nearly as much as it is at this level. And we haven't gotten there yet. We've been better this week. We just got off the practice floor now for our game against Covenant. We just got off practice floor. We had a better day today, a better day before a game practice than we had against Huntington. So hopefully that pays dividends in the game tomorrow. Time will tell. But that's been something I've had to harp on with this group, is just how mentally focused, how big a sense of jeopardy we need to be feeling heading into a game. We haven't gotten there yet with this group. I haven't done a good enough job articulating that to them or hammering that point home. We need to be better at that.
So the night against Huntington on Friday night, 70-56, Huntington ends up winning that one. Then Saturday's game gets canceled, very last minute, the morning of. COVID protocols, nothing to do with Brevard College.
Right.
And so kind of the rug gets pulled out of you because you want to, get back after it and keep on, working and improving and all these things. But you've got more games coming up. You've got a game against Covenant tomorrow, and you've got to get back to work somehow. So Can you kind of talk us through that as far as Saturday until maybe now, like how y'all dealt with that?
So we were supposed to play Saturday. We were going to be off on Sunday. And then we were going to have 1 day prep today for Covenant. That was the original plan. So Saturday morning, 8:45, I get the call from Huntington's head coach. I look at my phone like, oh boy, this can't be good news. And sure enough, he's like, Coach, I got bad news. And he went through the whole scenario. And so it's like, okay, well, we just canceled the game. And so we were off on Saturday. Definitely would have preferred to play. But like I said, we rode a lot of guys, a lot of minutes on Friday, and I know our bodies were feeling it on Saturday. So we were able to be off on Saturday. We would have preferred to have played, but it is what it is. And so they were able to recover a little bit, and now we get 2 days to prep for Covenant instead of 1. So we got on the practice floor Sunday and hit it pretty hard yesterday. And then we got in the weight room today, and we didn't go quite as long today on the practice floor, but still went live and, tried to tighten up the things that needed to be tightened up. But that was one adjustment we made. We did not go live the day before our game against Huntington on Thursday. We did not go live. I decided we did go live today, and I thought our guys responded well. And so here we are today. Instead of a 1 day prep, 2 day prep. Covenant's a very good team. Some people picked them to win our side. They've struggled a little bit here, and now they're fighting for their tournament lives to get into the conference tournament. But they've got some really good players, and probably the best player in the league. And so it's a tall order to get ready to guard them and to go against their defense. And so 2 days of prep. Again, we would have rather have played the game against Huntington Saturday, but the silver lining is we get 2 days to prep for Covenant instead of 1.
When we opened our conversation, I mentioned some of these individual performances, and people who haven't been watching the Tornadoes this year, virtually all new names. I mean, it's a new roster in so many ways. other than Hayden Cassell, who we're going to see a little later. For the most part, all these names are new to NATO Nation. However, they're getting up to speed pretty quick at the same time. Can you kind of talk about that aspect? These newcomers, how they've integrated themselves into the program, and the future, therefore, is bright.
Yeah, I mean, some of them, they haven't had a choice. So you mentioned Carson Evans. David Seeley was not cleared to play against Huntington. David's been our starting point guard for most of the year. Carson's been his backup, and David was not able to play against Huntington, as well as a few other people. And so Carson gets that nod, and he's thrown into the fire and did well, like you mentioned, and I think got a lot better and still has a lot of getting better to do. And so, when you've got limited numbers at times, then those guys that are getting the opportunities on the floor are going to get their learning curve sped up tremendously. So Alex Wessick has gotten a lot of opportunities because he, hasn't had to sit with any kind of COVID protocols and has been able to get out there and play. That's a new name. We mentioned Carson Evans. Some other guys that haven't got that opportunity. Lauren Boyette had a great game against Greensboro, and we haven't been able to see him since. Just some tough breaks for him. Right now, Lauren's LD is on track to be able to be free to play against Berea. He's not going to be able to play tomorrow, but we're hoping to get him back for Berea. And so, I don't believe in luck. Not something I believe in, but some of this is, hey, some guys have had some breaks go their way and have been able to get out there and play, and some guys has not gone their way and they've not been able to get out there. So, yeah, NATO Nation, for these guys that they don't know real well, they're definitely getting heavy doses of these guys that are on the floor just because our numbers have been so limited here this year.
Yeah, so NATO Nation, be sure to tune in tomorrow night, Tuesday night, 6 p.m. We'll be bringing you the broadcast from the Bosch. It'll actually be our final men's basketball home broadcast of the year, so hope you're able to tune in and get to know this roster. It's an exciting brand of basketball, no doubt about it. Can you tell us a little more specifically about that matchup? If there's maybe a few keys to the game as far as the Tornadoes go, but also, things for NATO Nation to look out for as they're tuning in.
Yep, so Will Crumley is really, really good. For them. He's got He's got legitimate size at 6'8", 6'9", scores the ball around the basket really well because he's 6'8", 6'9", and very few people at this level are that big. And then he shoots 45% from the arc, and it's not just shooting 1-3 a game. He shoots 3 or 4 threes a game. So you got somebody with that size that can score it around the basket, that can shoot it as well as he does from the arc. That is a matchup problem for us. So we've really harped on how we want to try to play him. Covenant is used to teams designing their matchups around him and do a lot of things to take advantage of what you're trying to take away. So as we really get into the hole and try to keep the ball out of the post, they're really good at skipping the ball, really good at designing plays to try to take away the help in the post. So we're going to have to really have our head on a swivel, be able to communicate really well to try to keep that ball out of Crumley's hands away from the basket or right around the basket. We want to make him catch the ball as far away from the basket as possible. And even then, he's a difficult matchup. Chris Barnett is a really good player for them as well. He's their point guard, got the ball in his hands a lot. They're probably their best player off the bounce, and he shoots it at a decent percentage from the arc too. Those two players are two of the best players in the league. They're really, really good in a difficult matchup. The flip side of that is Crumley's 6'9", and he's got to go guard us on the other end of the floor. And so we've really tried to pay attention to how we can try to make that a matchup in our favor. Covenant in the past has played a lot of man-to-man defense, and they're not doing that this year. They're playing a lot of a matchup zone. So we've talked about how we want to try to attack that, where there's going to be some spots that we can take advantage of their personnel a little bit. And so, we always try to give our guys confidence. And when they look at the film of Crumley and the stats for Covenant, and that's a difficult matchup for us, like, okay, that is true. And we're going to have to really, really work hard to neutralize them when they have the ball. But they got to come guard us too. And now what can we do when we don't have guys that are 6'8", 6'9", that, he's not going to be comfortable coming out and guarding us away from the basket a little bit. how are some ways that we can make that happen? And now how can we take advantage of that to try to give our guys some confidence with it? So, it's a tough team. They've got two really, really good players. Their role players know their roles and do their roles really well. Again, a team that was picked to win the league by some people. So tall order for us, tough matchup. Had a great game against them here last year. Won a really, really tight game. It was a big win for us. First time that we've beaten Covenant since we joined the league. So, it's a team that we've had some success against last year, and hopefully we can have some more this year.
6 o'clock tomorrow, Tuesday, at the Boschmer Gymnasium. We'll be bringing it to you on the YouTube channel, and then Saturday and Sunday at Berea. Men's basketball season on its final little run here in the strangest of seasons, but I know the team has been able to accomplish a lot. Well, Coach, good luck this week. If you can stick with us just a moment longer, we're going to bring in our student-athlete guest here.
Absolutely.
As they join this virtual edition of Tornado Talk, joined by Ladji Samoura and Hayden Cassell. Coach, I know these two have provided a lot of leadership for the team, through, this highly unusual season. Can you tell NATO Nation a little bit just how exceptional these two are?
Yeah, they really lead differently, and everybody's got their own leadership styles. Hayden is super vocal, which we need. We need his voice. We need the volume of his voice. Hayden is the most comfortable member of our team, just in terms of program expectations, how we want to play. So that voice carries a lot of weight. Guys know that, he's really drilled into, the things that we want to do, how we can be successful. And, Hayden is one of our more vocal leaders. Ladji is probably our most talented player and leads by a different way, leads by example, very measured in what he says. And when he does talk, he has the guys' respect for sure, because he's one of our better players. And Ladji picks his spots, on when to be vocal. But both of these guys are exceptional teammates. There's not any kind of selfishness in them. I know that bleeds over. Our guys know that. And so they know when they are speaking or when they are leading, they're leading from a good place. So everybody's got their own leadership styles. Working with Ladji on being more vocal at times. But both of them being great teammates, have the team's respect, and our guys definitely listen to what they have to say.
Very good. Well, head coach Lee Burgess of the men's basketball team, thanks a lot for joining the program, Coach. We'll see you tomorrow night at the Bosch.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
All right. There he goes, head coach Lee Burgess. And joined once again by two men's basketball student athletes. Great to see these two again on Tornado Talk. Hayden Cassell, the junior forward from Kingsport, Tennessee. Hayden, thanks for joining the show.
Thank you for having me again.
And also Ladji Samoura, the junior guard from Fayetteville, North Carolina. Ladji, thanks for joining the show.
Thank you for having me.
Well, not the result you two gentlemen or the team wanted on Friday night. A tough opponent in Huntington. However, Coach was talking about some good things that you guys were able to do, especially early on against Huntington. In terms of the stat sheet, Hayden, 9 points, Ladji, 14 points on 5 of 10 shooting. Ladji also made a couple 3-pointers, but would like to hear from you both. And let's stick to the positive side of things. What were the things that you guys came away with, or perhaps the coaching staff said, hey, that's what you guys were doing right on Friday night? Hayden?
First off, the whole first half, I thought we played a really good game. We stayed in our offense. We got most of the shots every time down the court. We got the shots that we wanted. On the defensive side of things, we played really good defense for, I think, probably 19, 20 minutes of the first half. So it was a really solid game for us in the first half of the game. But when the second half came around, it just kind of, I guess, fatigue maybe set in. But I know Coach Burgess has mentioned to us before about how hard it is just to win a college basketball game. And we're a young team right now, and a lot of people know that. But we're definitely on the right track. And so the positive that we took, by staying in offense and then playing good defense during the first half, I think that really helped us understand that it needs to be for 40 minutes instead of just 20 at a time.
Yeah, and Ladji, from your perspective, pluses and minuses from Friday.
I feel like positive things were we were getting more buckets within our offense. And on the defensive end, we were just gritty. We were just hustling on defense. We weren't giving anything up easily. We were sending them to the line a couple of times. And that's when we're at our best, playing, just hustling, not letting anything come easy for the other team.
One of the big storylines from that game on Friday night at Huntington, from my perspective, was this kind of breakout performance by freshman point guard Carson Evans, 14 points, and did a real good job handling the ball through some heavy full court pressure at a lot of moments in that one. Love to hear from each of you on Carson and kind of how he came out of his shell in a lot of ways on Friday night. Hayden?
Yeah, Carson stepped up really big because our point guard, David Seeley, he was out with some COVID stuff going on. He's working his way back in. So Carson got his first collegiate start, and so he played a really big part, as you said, handling the ball 94 feet. And that's tough to do over the course of a game, like, every possession. And so in the first half, I don't think he shot it too well, and he would tell you that too. But during halftime, a couple of us talked to him and stuff like, your shot's going to fall and just keep shooting it. And then in the second half, he started knocking down more shots and just kept getting open looks. And so we kept trying to get it to him. And as a freshman and not like, this is it was only our fourth game. I think that's really big confidence-wise for a freshman point guard too. It's your first collegiate start. And then he had a really good outing for us. He had a lot of energy on the defensive end too.
Very good. Did you see similar things, Ladji?
Most definitely. His basketball IQ is high, so I was just giving him confidence to be aware of everything, just not think about things too much, because he already has the basketball IQ to be able to go out there and play on the college floor. He just has to put it together with his confidence.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And unfortunately, you guys were ready to get going on Saturday with a rematch against Huntington. That game canceled. Nothing to do with Brevard College, but just kind of that's how it goes in this crazy season in the COVID-19 pandemic. But I know you guys got right back to work in preparation for tomorrow's matchup. Like to hear from each of you. Kind of beginning on Saturday when you realized the game was off, till right now when you're on the show, what have you guys been busy working on?
So the game, we woke up to a group text Saturday morning that the game was no longer going to happen that day. And so every day, usually after a game, we have an off day. And so at that point, it was just kind of the same routine. So we had an off day Saturday, and then Sunday, yesterday, we got right back to work and started prepping for Covenant. Watched game film, started repping stuff for our game plan against them. So after, it was a little shock at first because, everybody was ready to play again Saturday. But I think once the day kind of went on, it was kind of the same routine as the off day and then prep days.
Yeah, and Ladji, with all these cancellations and postponements and just, the way this season's gone, you've got to be flexible, right? As a student athlete and also as a team, just kind of rolling with these punches as they come, correct?
Most definitely. We were just in practice, we just move on to the next team's game plan, because within college basketball, game plans change. So we're like this game, we're focused on Crumbly. So we have to, pretty much pack in the paint every single time down on defense. So it's basically a different game plan other than the last game where we were just pressuring up on the ball, trying to make their guards speed up whatever they're doing.
One more before we kind of take this off the court a little bit. Tomorrow, Covenant coming to town. Coach talked about how, Brevard had a big win against them last year, but this is a tough Covenant club that's coming in here. But I know you guys are focused on getting that W. Hayden, can you tell us a little bit from a internal team perspective? What's the mindset and what's it going to take to beat Covenant tomorrow?
So as Coach Burgess has already said, and I'm sure everybody on the team knows, it's going to be a really tough challenge. But the thing that I've noticed the most is that everybody on the team has the mindset that we're going to win. And we've had a really good prep 2 practices, and we had a really good practice today. And so everybody on the team is feeling really confident about tomorrow. And so we're going to try to come out as we always do, with high energy and just sustain it for 40 minutes.
Ladji?
For the most part, is just playing a good game for 40 minutes. We always come out. We don't come out the fastest. We don't come out the hardest, but it's just putting it together for 40 minutes. That's what we're focused on, putting a good game together for 40 minutes.
Well, let's go off the court just a moment here, guys. We talked to y'all earlier in the season, but do want to let folks who might have missed that program get to know you guys a little bit more. Hayden out of Kingsport, Tennessee, Ladji out of Fayetteville, North Carolina. Hayden, you've been here 3 seasons now. You've really settled in as a Tornado and so forth. But tell us a little bit kind of about your background. When did you pick up a basketball for the first time? When did it become serious? And ultimately, how'd you find your way to Brevard College?
I started playing basketball. Basically when I started walking, the little mini hoops and stuff. I used to always play in my living room. I'm sure every college basketball player has done that at some point. Almost broke some stuff in the house when I was younger, the usual. It started getting really serious for me around middle school, and I wanted to pursue my dream of playing college basketball somewhere. So my senior year in high school at Dobbins-Bennett, I was a 2-sport athlete. I played football and basketball. My senior year, I ended up not playing football and just focusing solely on basketball. And it was actually during the football season when I was at an AAU tournament for basketball is where Coach Burgess had recognized me in a tournament. I think it was Greenville or Greensboro, one of the two. Then we just kept in contact, and then they wanted some game film. I sent it to them, and then had me up here on a visit and everything. And I've loved the 3 years here so far.
Very good. And Ladji, same question for you. If you can kind of take us through your basketball journey from when it first got started till where you're at now.
First, I started around 2 years old. My dad played basketball for the most part, and I played rec to start off with through elementary school years, but middle school is when I hit the ground running with basketball and just took it seriously. Started playing travel basketball, doing the whole AAU circuit type thing. Went through high school, excelling in basketball and school, and then I eventually got a full scholarship to the University of Northwestern Ohio, where I played for 2 years. And I ended up making a choice to transfer back home to North Carolina, and Brevard was one of the schools that gave me a chance to come to their school. So I grasped the opportunity.
Last one. I'm always curious when I talk to guys like you. Let's talk a little NBA. Favorite team, favorite current player, and who was the player you looked up to growing up? Hayden?
My favorite team is the Milwaukee Bucks. I guess my favorite player right now would definitely be Giannis Antetokounmpo. I like the way he plays. He attacks the basket, and some people might disagree, but his mid-range game is coming along slowly but surely. So sooner or later, I think this year we're going to have a really good shot at the finals. So hopefully we can pull it off.
In growing up, was there a basketball player you really looked up to, or when you were smashing things around in the living room, was there someone you were emulating?
For the most part, it was just a lot of highlight videos. I really liked Derrick Rose before the injury. I would watch a lot of his highlights, but other than that, it was just any highlights that I could get my hands on YouTube or anything. I would just, if I was bored, I would go watch YouTube highlights of basketball players. So for the most part, it was just, I pick different things from different videos that I see and try to implement them in my game.
Ladji, favorite players or teams that you've kind of emulated your game around?
My favorite team right now is the Los Angeles Lakers, but my favorite player, currently in the NBA, is Drew Holiday. And a player that I looked up to when I was younger was probably LeBron James, that I still look up to now, just because of the way he's, been through 3 generations of basketball, and just he's still excelling at old age.
Yeah, no doubt. Incredible durability for LBJ. Well, guys, before I let you go, I always want to give you the opportunity for any shout-outs or thank yous you may have. Anybody who might be watching the show or might watch it on a replay, or just someone who's helped you along the way. Hayden, got some shout outs for us tonight?
As usual, shout out to my family, my mom and dad, and my grandparents, because without them, I wouldn't be where I am today without their support and their love for me. Also, I wouldn't be here without my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And so without them, I would not be the person I am today, would not be in the position I am today. And then here at college, certain people that I've gotten really close with just help keep me sane and help me keep a level head. So shout out to them too. They know who they are.
Very good. Ladji, thank yous or shout outs for us?
Thank God. And I'll just want to thank my family for the most part, my brothers for pushing me to be a better person, my parents for sacrificing everything for me to get to this point right here, and everybody that's supporting me through everything, no matter what's going on.
Very good. Well said. Well, hang with me, fellas, as we put a bow on this edition of Tornado Talk. Hayden Cassell and Ladji Samoura, our guest, two members of that men's basketball team. Men's basketball will be in action tomorrow, 6 p.m. at the Bosch. That game will be broadcast on YouTube. Be sure to tune in to that. Women's basketball, we had some women's basketball presence on earlier in the show. Thank them for joining the program. They'll be at Agnes Scott tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. Friday, the cross-country team heads to Alabama for the USA South Conference Championships. Good luck to them. Also, men's lacrosse heads to Atlanta for its opener at Oglethorpe. So good luck to men's lacrosse for its season opening game. Now, a special program on Friday night. We want you all to tune in at 6:45 p.m. on the YouTube channel, Senior Night for women's basketball, where a total of 6 seniors, 5 student athletes, plus a student manager will be honored before the matchup versus Huntington at the Bosch. So tune in at 6:45 for that special program, and then the women's basketball team will be in action following that. Busy day on Saturday, most of it on the road this Saturday across BC Athletics. The softball team heads to Emory, Virginia for 2 non-conference games at the campus of Emory and Henry. Baseball heads to Danville, Virginia for a doubleheader versus Averett. Women's basketball, the second part of that 2-game series against Huntington, that'll be at 2 p.m. on Saturday. You can catch that one on YouTube. It'll be a home game at the Bosch. Women's soccer hits the road at Agnes Scott on Saturday. Men's basketball, Berea, trip to Berea, Kentucky for a 4 p.m. tilt on Saturday. And then 7 o'clock on Saturday night, men's soccer will be at Maryville. And then Sunday, the men's basketball team with its season finale at Berea at noon. And then baseball, game 3 of a 3-game series versus Averett. So busy time of year with Brevard College Tornado Athletics, but be sure to tune into BC Tornadoes on social media on Instagram and Twitter at BC Tornadoes, Brevard College Tornado Athletics on Facebook, Brevard College Tornadoes on YouTube. And when you go to YouTube, hit the subscribe button and hit that little bell. And that way you'll get all the notifications when we go live with broadcasts of Tornado Talk or any of the game broadcasts. And be sure to also follow the SoundCloud page if you prefer the audio version of this sort of programming. So appreciate you tuning in this evening. Do want to thank our sponsors one final time: Arby's, Brevard Orthopedics, BSN Sports, Cooper Construction, eGolf Ford of Brevard, Hampton Inn, Ingles, Jets Pizza, Pepsi, Triangle Stop, and Young Transportation. And thank you, the audience, for tuning in for this edition of Tornado Talk. Go Tornadoes!